Joyo here, talking to you today about bass pedals. If you look on YouTube and search for effects pedals, you're going to find guitar demos and maybe you can get a feel for what it's going to do for you on bass, but the chances of that are hit or miss. When I started playing bass back in 1998, there wasn't a lot available, especially for bass, and what was available was either really expensive or not terribly robust. This is the very first effects pedal I ever purchased, and I'm not trying to disparage the company that made it or anything like that, but back in the late 90s or early 2000s, if you wanted a cheap effects pedal, chances are it was going to be like this. It was going to be plastic shell, not terribly durable, not terribly attractive, and the worst part of it really is that this was the kind of switching mechanism that this pedal came with. And you know, the funny part is I bought this pedal so I could practice through it. I turned it on only with my fingers, and after having this pedal for a couple of years, it got to be that this switch didn't work anymore. If I were to plug this in right now, I might be able to jiggle this switch enough to get it to turn on, and then turning it back off would be just as difficult. This isn't ideal. This isn't what you want. Another thing about a lot of pedals is that if you have this plugged in through your signal chain, even when it's not engaged, it still takes a lot of the punch and the signal out of your sound just by having everything routed through the input and output. Even when this isn't affecting your signal with, in this case, chorus, it's still sucking some of that life out. One of the things that I really look for in effects pedals is a kind of switch that is true bypass, which means that when it's not engaged, it is not affecting your signal in any way. For years, that was the kind of switching that would come on higher end, expensive boutique pedals, or even middle of the road pedals, but cheap, affordable pedals. They've never really come with that, and they've always kind of sounded a little off, and when they're not engaged, they still kind of suck the life out of your tone. So as far as effects pedals go, for a long time, I was never sold on the idea because I never wanted to put a ton of money into an effect that I wasn't sure I was going to use on a regular basis, and I didn't know how else to go about getting one other than a cheap one that kind of sounded crappy. In the last couple years, I discovered a company called Joyo. They make some really outstanding effects pedals. They have true bypass switching, so you know that when this thing isn't engaged, it's not negatively affecting your sound. Instead of plastic construction, you have metal construction, which is a really nice feature to have, especially if you are kind of hard on your pedals. The construction here will definitely hold up better than this. You look at the construction, these two, you see the switch on the Joyo pedal is definitely a little more robust. That's the kind of switch that if it were to fail, that's a pretty run-of-the-mill switch that you can get at any music supplier, and you could potentially get this pedal back on the road in a matter of minutes with the right tech. This pedal, on the other hand, with this kind of switch, I don't know what kind of surgery you would have had to do to replace this switch or to repair it or make it better or whatnot. Clearly, I never bothered to do it. Like I said, I've had this thing for 15, 16, 17 years, something like that, and I've never really had the interest in making it work again. It was never terribly great to begin with, but it was cool to play around with when I got it, and kudos to them for making an affordable pedal in the late 90s when that was hard to come by. But this pedal, I just can't say enough about it. I'll be doing some demo videos, hopefully very soon. But today I just kind of wanted to talk about the difference in the construction between what used to be considered a cheap alternative to an expensive pedal and what you can actually get now. Definitely check out these pedals. You can get these online, and they come from China. Depending on where you get them, you might be able to find some US distributors. So they do take a little bit more time than, say, buying from your local store, but the money you'll save on this is definitely worth it. I think this pedal is somewhere around 40 bucks for what it is, with the true bypass switching, the metal construction, and it does really sound and work very, very well. I think it's a no-brainer for 40 bucks. Definitely check them out and keep it tuned for more videos from me about different pedals that I have. I have several of these and I have more on the way, and keep an eye out for demo videos. There's not a whole lot out there for bass, especially with these pedals. Almost everything I've seen has been for guitar. There have been a couple of videos for bass, which I appreciate, but I'm going to try to at least give you some ideas about what you can do with these pedals and kind of open your eyes to the world of effects. Stay positive and hang loose.